Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I'm about to show you guys how to make a basic simulator game and stuff. If you guys are new to my channel or just, well, actually, no. If you have seen my other videos, you guys know how I do things. I usually have things pre-made aside from scripts, like usually things like models and builds and UI pre-made because I don't trust myself to remember exactly how I made it, like, with sizing, positioning, and stuff. Plus, honestly, I feel like, like, it just wouldn't look as good as the first time I made it because I'm not even a builder myself. So the fact that I made something, I'm like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Then I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just keep it or whatever. But yeah, this video I'm gonna show you guys how to make a basic simulator game. This is part one of the series. If this video does well, I will drop a part two in the next week or two. Stuff all depends on how the video does. If it does well, then expect some part two. The better the video does, the faster you get a part two and stuff. I have thunder breathing. I have how to make thunder breathing in Roblox dropping on Friday, hopefully. If it doesn't, then I'll be dropping a One Piece video. But anyway, thank you guys for all the love and support y'all been showing on the channel. I really do appreciate it. Let's get to 2,300 subscribers by the end of this week. And yeah, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to address the shop. So you guys know how in a simulator game you have a shop where like you walk up to like a stand with an NPC, and there's different ways to do it. Like some may have like an NPC and then like there's a proximity prompt you go up to and then you hold E that opens the shop. Oh, and like there's like dialogue and stuff. But then there's also something like this, right? There's also a shop where like you could say hang on, my brain just stopped working anyway. Then there's a shop where like you come within close proximity to the NPC, then the UI will automatically be enabled and stuff like that. You could also use like get a player's magnitude and stuff. You could also do it like this, like that, but I just prefer doing it like this. So to break down the shop, okay. So first things first, the shop owner is a regular NPC, right? All I did was click avatar, rig builder, and block avatar, right? And then you just click block avatar, right? Oh, let me open up my output. But anyway, yeah. And then I just named the rig shop owner, and then I put shop owner inside of the shop, and then I just placed him inside. So did much editing to do with the shop. Oh, also by the way, if you don't know how to turn something into a model, press Control G while it's selected, like Control G, boom, that takes it into a model. So that's how I turn this to a model. Then these are just regular parts and stuff. So you guys can tell by the names which part is which and stuff. The only properties I really would say you need is to make sure you can have can collide on, make sure it's anchored so it doesn't just fall apart, and then that's really it. Like there's not really much properties per se. So yeah, these are just regular parts that I just put together to make like a kind of stand type thing. Now for the most important thing, the shop activator. So this is, you could say, like the range. Like this is the area. Like if a player is making contact with this part, then then the UI is going to be enabled because they're within close proximity. You guys can make this as big, small, whatever you want and stuff. Now for this, you need to make sure it's anchored, make sure can collide is not on, and you want to make sure it's transparent. The only reason I had it set to 0.8 transparency was because I just wanted you guys to be able to literally see it and stuff. And then you would go ahead and name this shop activator, right? And here's like the properties and stuff in case you guys are interested, for the colors, the sizing, positioning, and just stuff like that. And yeah, so once you're done, like I said, just make sure all of it is inside of a shop model. You can create a model by pressing Control G while having something selected in the workspace. And yeah, and just like that, we have our shop set up. So then let's move on and let's go server storage. Okay, so now to explain this, you guys know how the whole point of a simulator game is you have a tool or whatever, an item, right? And every time you click with that while holding the item, you gain plus something. For my game, or just generally for the demonstration, the tutorial I made, I decided to go with just the basic strength. So every time you click, you get plus one strength, right? So we have our items inside, which are tools, right? So pretty much just make two tools. Simply just click. So, oh, sorry. First thing first, let's make the folder. So click plus icon, server storage, type folder. If you don't see it, click folder, then name that folder items. Make sure this folder is inside of server storage. Then inside of that folder, you're going to create two tools. So you click the plus icon, tools, right? And then just name the tools. You can name the tools whatever you want. I'd recommend just naming this starter or default and stuff, right? And yeah. So the way I'm going to script this is that you need to have two variables inside, two values, right? or not variables, sorry, values inside of each tool. Increase. This is how much a player's strength increases every time they left click. So obviously for starters, it's only going to be like 1. Then strength needed. This is how much it costs for a player to equip said tool, right? So obviously for the starter tool, you don't need any strength because this is what you start with. Now for the better tool and stuff, obviously the amount that a player's strength increases by is greater than, of course, the starter increase, as well as the strength needed. You actually require to have a certain amount of strength rather than just 0 for a starter. So simply just insert a number value, just type number, insert that, rename one of the values to strength needed. This is the amount of strength needed for a player to equip the tool. Set the value whatever you want. You guys don't have to copy the values or anything, right? The whole point is the script will check the values and stuff like that, so you can make the values whatever you want, and then however much you want it to increase by and stuff. And then once you're done with that, like I said, make sure the tools are inside of a folder named items, and that items folder should be located in server storage. Then we have the item button. This is pretty much the not placeholder. This is the layout. Like this is like the button that I'm going to clone, because I'm going to use the script I'm going to clone over the button and stuff. Like I made this as easy as possible for people, right? 'Cause I know majority of people trying to make games are people who are not experienced. They don't know how to script and stuff, and plus people get very complicated when it comes to like trying to tell, like when I tell y'all, okay, if you want to do something like this, then if you want to add something, you got to do this. You'll be very confused. So to make it simple, the script will automatically count how many items you have, and it will add a button for each item. For example, I have 2 items, so it's going to have 2 buttons inside of the UI and stuff. So that pretty much explains that. So if you have 5, you're gonna have 5 buttons, and then so forth. So the item button, this is the default. This is pretty much the I keep forgetting the name, but you can say like placeholder or default, right? This is, or the format, you could say. So I'm going to show you guys the properties real quick. This is the background color I went with, then the border size, border mode, name it item button, and make sure it is inside of server storage. Positioning doesn't matter since the position is going to be automatically set by the UI grid, which I'll get into that later on. And then here's my sizing. Well, sizing also doesn't matter. So yeah, make sure of course it's visible. Then here are the text properties and stuff. And yeah, I know you guys can't see the button and stuff, but you don't need to see it to insert the properties and stuff. You could just edit the properties, right? Then, now to get into the starter GUI. This is the item shop GUI that I made. Let me go ahead and enable it. This is what I made. I feel like it's pretty nice. I'm not a UI maker, but I feel like it's pretty nice. But anyway, so to pretty much break this down, first things first, you want to insert a screen GUI into starter GUI. You want to name this item shop GUI, right? Or shop GUI, whatever you want to call it. Make sure that make sure enabled is false, like it's not checked and stuff. The only reason I have it checked right now is because I'm just showing you guys what it looks like and stuff, but make sure it's not checked when you actually, try to test. And also make sure reset on spawn is on, very important. Make sure you have this checked, right? Now to break down how everything is. So first things first, we have the item shop frame. You can insert a regular frame, right? That's the back that's this right here, this blue in the back, right? That's the blue in the back. I'm gonna show you guys all the properties so you guys can just copy it in case you guys are just wanting to do it just like how I did it, which is honestly, in my opinion, is the best way to do when you're trying to do a tutorial and stuff. Do it exactly as the person did it, and then just edit things and stuff as you go. But anyway, name this item shop frame. Then inside of item shop frame, you're gonna have items frame. Now you can tell by the logos, or the not logos, what's the word, like symbols or icons, I guess, that these are 2 different things. That is because this is a regular frame, this is a scrolling frame. Scrolling frames have the little this little thing allows you to scroll through and stuff. It's important to have this when you're doing things like list, so this makes it so that you can just scroll down. So yeah, so name this items frame and put this inside of the item shop frame, and then of course I'll show you guys the properties, the colors, the positioning, the size and stuff. And then next thing, you're going to need to insert a UI grid layout into the item frame. So just type UI grid layout, insert that. Then I'll show you guys the properties. For me, I chose cell size 150 and 50, and then cell padding default, which is 5 and 5. This pretty much will mean, like, to kind of explain this because people be very confused about UI grids. Okay, so cell padding, this is how you're like in this particular instance, this is how the buttons will be organized in terms of like spacing. Padding pretty much means spacing, right? So, this is X, this is Y. So editing X will determine how far apart they are, from the left to the right side. So like if a button is right here, another button is right next to it, the bigger this number, the more space there will be in between each button. Then of course Y is up and down, so it'll determine how much space is in. Like if a button is right here and a button is right here, like pretty much two buttons are on top of each other, right? One's on top of the other. It'll determine how much space is in between them right there. That's pretty much explains cell padding. And then cell size is the size of the object. In this case would be the size of the button and stuff. So you don't need to worry about setting. That's why I was telling y'all you don't have to worry about setting the size or position of this button, because it's going to be overwritten by the UI grid layout. To repeat that again, because people don't seem to understand that, the sizing and position of the buttons that we put inside of the frame are going to be overridden by the UI grid layout. So make sure you change the sizing and spacing / padding here to your desire, whatever you want. Then for the item shop header, as you guys can tell, that is just the title at the top of the screen. Top of UI. So if it just says shop, once again, I'll just take you guys through the properties. So just name it item shop header, and then yeah, not really much else to do there. And then yeah, that's it with the UI. Like I said, make sure it is not enabled. You guys can also customize the UI to whatever way you want. You don't have to do it just like how I did it and stuff. Make whatever you want. But anyway, so just like that, we've gotten through everything. So now we can get into making things. We got to make one thing first, and then we can get into the scripting. Y'all already know we're gonna need a remote event. Let's go ahead and name this remote event core event. I decided to go with just core event because I felt like instead of just having one remote event for each specific thing, I'm just gonna have like one event that handles like things that fall under a general category. So core, like basic things like data loading, purchasing stuff from the shop. Those things that are considered kind of core to me in a sense, stuff. But of course, things can change in the future. But anyway, let's get into the scripting. Okay, so first things first, let's set up the core script. This is the script that's going to handle the data saving and stuff. Before I even get into that, let's go through how to enable data stores. Head to your game settings, go to security, right? And then you want to enable allow HTTP. Wait. Actually, yes and no. You actually do want to have this on, allow HTTP request, or wait. Am I tripping? Oh, actually, yeah, never mind. I mean, you could enable that. I mean, I would recommend you enable it. But anyway, you want to enable studio access to API services as it says, enable studio access to game services such as data stores and stuff. You need to have this enabled. So make sure you click save if you just enabled it, right? And make sure you click publish. Let me just double check that I'm recording. I mean, my mic is still going on, but anyway, let's get into the scripting now. So we're going to insert a server script into server script service, and we're going to name this script core script in parentheses put server. Then we're going to delete print hello world. First things first, we're going to create our stats data store. So I'm going to say local stats data store. Stats data store is equal to game get service data store service get data store stats, right? And then I'm going to create a variable for the items folder. So local items is equal to game that server storage wait for child items. And then I'm going to get the core remote event. So local core event is equal to game that replicated storage wait for child core event. And just like that, we have all our variables. Now we get into the functions. First things first, we're gonna set up the data loading. So let's do game.player added connect function in parentheses put PLR, which is short for the player who joined. Then press enter, right? And then I'm going to create a couple of variables. Actually, more like a lot of variables and stuff, right? So first things first, we're going to create a leader stats folder. So local leader stats is equal to instance.new in quotation marks put folder, comma, parented to the player, then put leader stats.name is very important. Leader stats.name is equal to leader stats. If you don't know what leader stat is pretty much those values you see in the top right of your screen next to the player's name, where it says strength, money, cash, whatever the case may be in the top right. That is what a leader stat is. So you need to make sure that the folder is named leader stats in order for them to appear at the top. So yeah, then make that folder. Then I'm going to make a regular stats folder. So local stats folder is equal to instance.new folder parented to the player, just like we did with the leader stats. Then stats folder, we're gonna do this a little differently. So stats folder.name is equal to just stats. The reason why I named it just stats instead of stats folder, the only reason I even named this stats folder, right? Because you see I didn't name this leader stats folder. The only reason is because if I do this, if I do stats, you know, like it thinks I'm calling on like stats. Now obviously it'll still work as a variable, like I can still call on the variable, but just in general, I don't want people getting confused because the color is different, plus you're kind of calling on something. I mean, I've honestly never used stats like that stats, but still. So that's why I feel like it was just better just to do stats folder. You could also name it stats folder if you just generally want to keep all the naming, just like everything is just named the same, like the variable name on the script is the same as the name, you know, in game. So you could also do that as well, but make sure you change things, of course. So next thing, I'm going to create the strength value. So local strength is equal to instance.new. This time it'll be a number value. We're going to parent this to leader stats because we want people to be able to see how much strength the player has. Then I'm going to say strength.name is equal to strength, and I'm going to say strength that, oh sorry, not string, strength.value is equal to 0. You guys know by default stuff we're going to, but this is the data loading, so we're going to update this value if the player, you know, has more than 0 strength. Then for the last value, I'm going to create local last item used. This is a way for us to save the last tool a player used, so that when they rejoin the game, or when they die in the game, it will give them whatever tool they last had and stuff. So last item used is equal to instance.new. This time it will be a string value, comma, and this time you're going to save it to the stats folder, right? And then you're going to say last item.use.name is equal to last item used. And then I'm going to create the function, you know, for the data saving by using peek off functions. Peek off functions are protected calls and stuff. This pretty much ensures the data will save and load properly. And if it doesn't load, it'll try again. It'll pretty much keep trying until it gets it right. So yeah. So let's say local success, comma, error message is equal to peek out function, close parentheses, enter local key. This is the key. This is the identification, your ID sorts for each player's individual data within the data store, right? So what most people do, and what I definitely would recommend doing, is using a player's user ID. Using a player's username is unreliable because if a person changes their username, then they're gonna lose their data and stuff, and that'd be kind of stupid for a player to, like, you know, lose their data just because they changed their name and stuff. You can't change your user ID, right? You'd have to literally make a whole new account, which then that's on the player. You know what I'm saying? So it's better that we just go with player.user_ID, right? Then I'm going to create a variable for the player's data if they have any, of course, and I'm going to do that by saying stats data store get async, which pretty much is another way of saying we're attempting to retrieve the player's data if they have any, or trying to get the data, you know, get async. Then you'd put the key, you know, in the parentheses, right? Then I'm going to say if the player has any data, then we're going to, of course, assign the values accordingly. We're going to say strength.value is equal to data regular bracket 1. This pretty much means the first value in the data set is going to be set. The value of strength will be set to the first value in the data set, right? Because keep in mind, when you're saving data, you need to make sure you're saving data in the same order that you're loading data. So since strength is going to be the first value I save, that's going to be the first value I load, and vice versa. You need to make sure, not vice versa, and so forth. You need to just make sure you're saving, like, your saving is in sync. Like if you're saving last item used as a second value, which is what I'm going to be doing, then you need to make sure you're loading it, you know, as the second thing. So then I'm going to say last item dot use dot value is of course equal to data regular bracket 2, right? So then I'm going to clone over the item. I'm going to say local item clone is equal to items. Remember, that's the folder and server storage. Wait for child. Oh, sorry. Last item used dot name. Not that name. Oh, sorry. Value, right? So we're pretty much looking for the last item that the player used. We're going to clone that, right? Then I'm going to say workspace, wait for child, player.name. And then this is because I want to make sure that the player has loaded in before we try to give them a tool. Because if they haven't loaded in, they're not going to receive the tool. and stuff. So they would just be stuck without, any way of getting a tool unless I guess they went to the shop to try to equip it. Then I'm gonna say item clone dot parent is equal to player dot backpack. And then I'm going to create a function. This is the function that's going to handle whenever a player is, clicking the mouse and they're attempting to, increase their strength. So I'm going to say item clone dot, oh, sorry, dot activate. This won't autofill, so you guys are going to have to type this out. Dot activated connect function, close parentheses, enter. Then we're going to say player dot leader stats. Guys, please make sure you're typing this correctly. Like, go slow. Please make sure you're typing this correctly. Strength dot value is plus equal to item clone dot increase dot value. So I said it's important that you make sure you set the increase value to however much you want the player's strength to increase, right? Then I'm going to set another function, right? I'm gonna go like right here, right after it, and I'm gonna say player dot character added connect function plus parentheses. Now this function is going to handle whenever a player dies. We want to make sure whenever a player dies, of course, that they still get the tool that they had when they had the last tool that they had. So pretty much we're going to set up this function. We're going to do this time local item clone 2, and then we're literally doing the exact same thing. So we can really just copy and paste. Like I said, I've always said in my videos, copying and pasting is always, in terms of like when you know what you're doing, at least I should say, and stuff. So yeah. So then we're gonna do the same thing. You guys already know item clone 2 dot parents. The player's character is already added, so we don't need to add a weight or anything. So dot parent is equal to player dot backpack. And then lastly, I'm going to, set up the function. So you guys can really just copy and paste this. So Control C, Control V, and then just change this to 2. Or sorry, not 3, 2, right? And just like that, I'm actually not. Oh wait, no, sorry, we are not done. We're close though. Not gonna lie, yeah, we are actually close. So click the little arrow right here, press enter, then put else. So remember, everything we just typed was for if a player has data. Now, if a player doesn't have any data, then here's what we're gonna do. We're going to automatically clone over the starter, because if they don't have any data, that means they're a new player. It's their first time playing the game. So we're going to give them the starter tool by default because we already know what tool they need. So we're just going to go ahead and say local item clone is equal to items wait for child, just in case it's not ready for us to use yet. Starter clone, right? Then we're going to say we're going to set their player's last item used dot value. So last item used dot value is equal to item clone dot name. Then I'm going to say item clone dot parent. Wait, actually, I think I'm forgetting something. Not gonna lie. Oh yeah. Workspace wait for child, and then what was the thing? Oh yeah, player dot name. We need to make sure that the player's character has loaded in, just like before. Then I'm going to set the parent. So item clone dot parent is equal to player dot backpack. And then you guys already know what we're gonna do. We're going to set up the functions and stuff you guys already know. Item clone, boom, Control C, Control V, Control C to paste. Control C to copy, Control V to paste, right? And then you guys already know we're gonna also need this function as well. So make sure you grab it, Control C, and then go on outside, Control V, right? And just like that, guys, I have great news. We are technically almost done. We still have more to add to this function, but the thing is we can just copy and paste it. Now, the reason, once again, why I'm using a protected call is so that the great thing is you can call in a protected call over and over again if the operation failed, or the function failed, I guess you could say, right? So that's what we're gonna do. So click the arrow right here, skip 2 lines, and then we're gonna say while not success, make sure, it's essential you do this, make sure you put a wait time, right? I would definitely recommend testing wait times. For me, I just usually do 3 seconds, but you guys can do whatever you want. But make sure you test with the wait times, because keep in mind, if you're trying to call on like data stores, like you're trying to retrieve a player's data too many times, you're trying to save data or modify data in any way too many times, it's going to fail. And then if you don't have a way to if you don't have a method in the script that's like, okay, it failed, let me try again, players would be losing their data. Like either players that data wouldn't be wouldn't be saving, or they wouldn't be loading. So yeah. So we're gonna do task.wait 3 seconds. And then, like I said, guys, the amazing thing is we literally just have to copy and paste everything. Literally, just literally take your mouse, select everything up to here, and then Control C, Control V, and then we're gonna Control V down here. Yeah, I knew it. I grabbed an extra end by mistake. So yeah, but anyway, that's all you gotta do. Just make sure you put a task.wait, and then put a time, and then boom, just like that, we're done with that function. And then now for the data saving, which is, if you don't know, trust me when I tell you, it's way less than what we just did and stuff. So yeah, don't worry. So game.players.player removing for when a player is leaving, connect function, in parentheses put PLR, which is short for the player who's leaving. Then we're going to say local success, comma, error message is equal to pcal function, close parentheses, enter local key, just like we did on the first function. We're going to say is player user ID. We're using user IDs. And then I'm going to create a data table. So local data table is equal to special brackets. That's how you create a table. And then I'm going to save each value. This is very important here, right? So when you're saving data to a table, you need to save it in the order that you're going to load it. Like they have to be in sync with each other. Now, to pretty much explain this, right? So you guys see how I'm loading the data in this order? I'm going first strength. Second, last item used. That means I need to save it the same way that I loaded it in the vice versa and stuff. So I need to save the strength first, and then I need to save the value of last item used second. Because if I did last item used first, then that value will be, then strength value will be set to that value. So you need to make sure like the order, like the order you're loading in is the same as the order you're saving in and stuff. It's honestly, it may sound a little complicated, but it's very simple. So I'm going to say table.insert data table, comma, player, dot leader stats, dot strength, and of course we need to make sure you save that value. I made the mistake sometimes of just putting the name of the value and not the actual value itself. So yeah, then we're gonna do table.insert data table, player, this time dot stats, dot last item used, dot value. Then I'm going to say stats data store set async, which pretty much means we're modifying the data. We're going to put our player's key, and then we're going to put the data table. So just throw in the data table variable. And yeah, like I said, guys, it literally would take us a second. All we got to do now is just add in pretty much the backup method to make sure that just in case the first plan doesn't work, we have a backup plan. So while not success, enter, do task.wait 3 seconds. Then copy and paste everything on the inside of the function. Control C, Control V, or copy then paste up here. And boom, just like that, guys, we are done with the entire script. Once again, reminder, make sure you have data stores enabled via game settings, security, and then where is it? Enables to access the API services. Make sure it's enabled and you press save. And also make sure you press publish, right? And yeah, just like that, we've set up, honestly, in my opinion, the longest. Actually, no, that's not an opinion, but that's, I think, the longest, or at least we've gotten 1/3 of the scripting done. So now let's get into the other scripting. Let's go ahead and insert another server script. We're going to handle the shop scripting server side, then we're going to handle the client side. So let's insert another script, and let's go ahead and name this script shop script server, right, in parentheses. Then we're going to delete print hello world, and then I'm going to make 4 variables. First thing first, I'm going to get the core remote event. I'm going to say local core event is equal to game the replicated storage wait for child core event. Then I'm going to get the items folder from server storage. So I'm going to say local items is equal to game the server storage wait for child items. Then I'm going to get the item button, which is also located in server storage. So local item button is equal to game the server storage wait for child item button. And lastly, I'm going to get the shop activator, which, if you don't know, that's the name of this, the invisible, you could say invisible part that's going to let me know if, like, okay, a player is touching it. So local shop activator, I spelled that right, yeah, activator, it's equal to game.workspace, or actually, let me just do workspace dot shop activator, right? Oh, actually, let me do workspace, wait for child, shop, then wait for child, shop activator, just to make sure, we want to just make sure it's fully loaded in. But anyway, we're going to set up the function for whenever a player tries to touch it. This is the automated portion I was talking to you guys about, like how the buttons will be automatically created based on the amount of tools you have inside the folder. So I'm gonna say shop activator dot touched connect function in parentheses put hit enter. Then we're going to create a variable local player is equal to game dot players get player from character. Then you're gonna say hit dot parent, right? Then I'm gonna use an if statement. I'm gonna say if player, which pretty much means that if player, like, pretty much it would give an error and it wouldn't, like, the variable wouldn't be set correctly. It would be set to like nil and stuff if it wasn't a player. But if it is a player, then I'm going to continue. So if player, then player dot player GUI. This is just to double check. Wait for child item shop GUI. We just want to make sure that the player's UI is just loaded in and stuff before we should make any changes. So then we're gonna use a for I loop. I'm gonna say for I comma v in pairs items get children. Remember the items, the item folder we have. Enter. Then I'm gonna do if not player dot player GUI dot item shop GUI the item shop frame find first child v dot name dot dot dot, oh sorry, two dots, quotation marks, button, enter. To pretty much explain this, this means if not. So if not, as in you're saying if this doesn't happen, right? If we wanted it to happen, we would just say if. When you add the not, that means if this doesn't happen. So this means if it's search, it's gonna search all the buttons and make sure that none of them are like there twice. Like if the button already exists, it's not going to try to create it again and stuff. Just to make it is like, again, it's just another way to double check to make sure that like there's not like two of the same buttons and stuff. Because keep in mind the way I'm gonna name the buttons, I'm gonna name the buttons after the name of the item or tool, right? And then of course the word button after, right? So I'm going to create a variable for the item button. We're going to clone over the button. So I'm going to say local item button clone is equal to item button clone. And I'm going to say item button clone dot parent is equal to player dot player GUI dot item shop GUI dot item shop frame and then items frame, right? And then lastly, I'm going to set the name of it. So I'm going to say item button clone dot name is equal to v dot name dot 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 quotation marks button, just like I said up there. Then I'm going to use an if statement. I'm going to say if v dot strength needed, right? It's the amount of strength you need in order to equip it. That value is less than equal to player dot leader stats dot strength dot value. This pretty much means if the amount of like to pretty much translate this, if you as a player have more strength or the equal amount of strength that's required, that's necessary to equip the tool, then this is going to happen. Then when I put the else if statement, it's going to be the opposite if you don't have enough strength. So this is if you have enough strength, right? And then what we want to do is we want to say item button clone dot text is equal to v dot name dot dot quotation marks parentheses, and we're going to say equip. This pretty much means we're just letting the player know, okay, you have enough power for this, or strength, you have enough strength for this, you're able to equip it, right? So just put it in parentheses. Then I'm also going to set the background color of it so that the player also just knows, like, okay, like it's like, when you see green, you're like, okay, you can go, like that's something you have. So it's equal to color3.new, and then just gonna click off, then click in, and then just gonna select the green, and then this time I'm gonna say else if. And let's copy and paste to save time. So Control C, Control V, enter. And then this time you're just simply going to say greater than, which pretty much means the player does not have enough strength. Now this time, let's copy and paste once again, Control C and Control V. Now this time you're gonna say in parentheses, you're gonna say not enough strength. And then we're gonna set the color to red so that the player just knows, like, no, like you're not able to equip this. Then on the outside of not that, go like, let me see, like that's, yeah, okay. I want to go like right here. So on the outside of that, you guys want to then enable the GUI. I don't even know if you guys realize we have not even enabled the UI yet. The whole point is you want to do all of this before you enable the UI. I don't know if you guys notice sometimes when you play a game and like you click like say a keybind or a button or something to open some type of UI, a menu or some kind, and you notice a kind of delay like you notice a kind of delay, like maybe it could be like half a second or even a second and stuff. This is usually why, because it's like it's setting the data and stuff. 'Cause most systems are automated, so it's setting the data and stuff. By doing this, you're making sure that by the time the UI is open, it'll everything will be loaded. But then there are some games which you guys have probably seen before, but like you'll open the UI, it won't be loaded yet, but then like you'll like out of nowhere, it'll just populate. Like you'll just see all the data like in its correct places after like a second of like nothing being there and stuff. So it is different ways to do this, but I personally preferred you load the data, then you display the UI. So I'm going to say player.player GUI, the item shop GUI that enabled is set to true. And I'm going to fire the mode event. I'm going to say core event fires client, and then we need to fire it to the specific player. And comma, quotation marks, equip attempt. That is going to be the name of the event, because pretty much I'm trying to equip the tool, right? And don't worry, guys, that was the longest function that we have. Like the rest, it's trust me when I tell y'all, it's light work scripting from here. Trust me when I tell y'all that. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is, of course, just make a function for when a player stops touching the shop activator for whatever reason. So shop activator dot touch ended connect function in parentheses put hit, just like we did the first time. Then you guys already know we're going to do this again, so just copy and paste this. We need to just verify it's a player. So we're going to do if player, then player.player GUI item shop GUI enabled is equal to false. Then we're also going to do some other things on the side too. We're going to use a for I loop. We're going to say for I comma v in pairs, and I'm going to say player.player GUI item shop GUI item shop frame items frame get children enter, and I'm going to say if v is a text button v destroy. This pretty much is going to destroy all of the old text buttons we had, because keep in mind each time, if you guys weren't able to tell, we're creating the buttons every single time the player opens the menu and stuff. This way so that we can make sure that that it's up to date with the amount of items that are currently in server storage, as well as to also make sure that the status of the item is equivalent to whether or not the player can get it. So every time they open it, it'll regenerate or refresh / update, I guess you could say. So yeah, just like that, guys, you're done with that function. And then moving on to the third and last function we have, and then just like that, we just got a local script to set up, guys, and there's only one function on there, and it's as small as like the function we just made, so don't worry. So next thing I'm going to do is core event dot on server event connect function. In parentheses, you're going to put PLR, which is for the player, then event type, so we can differentiate between what we want to do. Since this core event is going to be used for multiple different events, we're going to differentiate between each event. Then item name. Or actually, not going to lie, what would actually probably be better to do actually would be to make this arg1, argument number 1, because since core event is used as like a general, actually no, never mind, no, I forgot, this is on the shop script, so never mind. So yeah, anyway, so for item name, we're going to say if event type is equal to, remember what we named it on the, what was it? I forgot what it was. Oh, I forgot, we didn't even get into that yet. Oh, well, I'm gonna show you guys in a second. So if event type is equal to equip attempt, which you guys should remember, right? If it's equal to equipped attempt, then local strength needed, I'm going to retrieve the amount of strength needed, is equal to items, the folder, regular brackets, item name, I need to look for the specific item, and then I'm going to check the amount of strength that's required. So strength needed dot value, and then I'm going to say if player dot leader stats dot strength dot value is greater than equal to strength needed, then enter, right? And then here, okay, so similar games are different. Some similar games have it where like when you purchase an upgrade or a tool, you lose some strength. Some don't. Like the game I played, when I was referencing stuff while creating this tutorial, while I was like trying to when I was like planning it out and stuff, it didn't have it where it took your strength. It just have it so like if you have enough strength, you're able to equip the tool or not. So if you guys wanted to make it so you lose strength, you could do player.leaderstats.strength.value less than equal to strength needed. That's what you could do. But for me, I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, that's only if you want to. So I'm gonna use a for I loop. I'm gonna say two actually. For I v in pairs. And then I'm gonna say player.backpack get children. all I'm doing is simply just destroying any tools the player currently has. So v destroy, because the only thing in the backpack should be the player's tools. Then we use another one. I'm gonna say for I2 v2 in pairs. I'm going to say player dot character get children. I'm gonna do if v2 is a tool, then v2 destroy. Pretty much just ensuring that all tools are destroyed and stuff, that we can give the player the new item. So local item. Wait, let me just make sure this is. Wait. Oh, see. That's exactly why I checked. That's exactly why I checked, because I skipped far ahead. So go. All right. So make sure you only skip 2 ends. So we want to do local item is equal to item. Make sure you do items, then regular brackets. Literally exactly what we did before. So item name, and then this time we're going to say clone. Oh, sorry, clone on the outside. Parentheses. Then item dot parent is equal to player dot backpack, and of course we want to update the last item used variable. So player dot stats dot last item used dot value is equal to item name. And just like that, guys, we are done with the shop script. All we literally got to do now is make one simple function on the local script for the on the local version of the shop script, and then we are good to go, guys. So let's head on over to the starter GUI and insert a local script into the item shop GUI, and then we're going to name this shop script, in parentheses put local. Then I'm going to delete print hello world. First things first, I'm going to make a core mode event. So local core event is equal to game, the replicated storage, away for child, core event. Then I'm going to make a variable for the player. So local player is equal to game.players.local player. Then we're going to get into the function. I'm going to say core event dot on client events connect the function, in parentheses with event type, then enter. So I'm going to say if event type is equal to equip attempt, then I'm going to do player, just another double checking. I'm going to say player GUI, wait for child, item shop GUI, right? Then I'm going to say for I comma v in pairs, player.player GUI, item shop GUI, item shop frame, items frame, get children, do if v is a text button, then v that mouse button one click connect function, close parentheses, enter, and we're gonna make a variable. Last one, local item name is equal to string dot split. We're gonna split it. We're gonna say v dot name, which if you don't understand, v is referring to the text button, so the name of the text button, comma, then we're gonna take the word button out of it, right? And then I'm going to send this over. So I'm gonna say core event fire server, then in parentheses, quotation marks, I'm going to say equip attempt. This is what I meant when I said this is the name of the event type we made on local version. So comma, item name, and make sure you do regular bracket 1, right? Because it is a table, so we need to specify that we're trying to send over 1. Just like that, guys, we are done. Let's go ahead and test this. If everything works great, then yeah. As always, if you guys want access to this, if you want access to this model, the scripts, all of this and stuff, this file, or access to any of my other scripts and models, you guys can become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. You guys can click one of the links in the description. Okay. You guys can click one of the links in the description and stuff. So that's weird. Why is it like that? Is so weird. That's interesting. I wonder why it's doing that. It's like that is so weird. It's populating so weird. Okay, well, I honestly expected that I typed something wrong. I don't know. Because it was just like, I'm just like, it's too good to be true. Okay, so let me revisit the shop script and let me see what the discrepancy is. Let's see. It has to be something, here. Let me see. If it, if it is a text file, destroy. If not, item shop frame. Wait. Oh, I think I did the. Oh, I said I did wrong. I said I did it wrong. Okay, so make sure you do items frame. I was getting this confused too, and I was making this because the words look so similar. Item shop frame and items frame. They look so similar. That's what I forgot. I forgot to put items frame. This was pretty much searching the item shop frame. It was searching this to see if there's any buttons. Remember, the buttons are being created inside of this frame. That's why they weren't being destroyed. Okay, so simple fix. Okay, let's go ahead and see now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so as you guys can see, my strength is 0. If I look at my player, you guys can see the strength at the top because as you guys can see, this value is inside of the leader stats folder. Then we have regular stats folder. You guys obviously don't see it here because it's not a leader stat. Then we have last item used. You see it was set. The value was set to starter, right? So now I'm going to show you guys. So you guys can see I can obviously equip starter, but I can't equip better. Now, if I go, make sure you go to the server side, because remember, we check everything on the server side. We're checking all the purchase on the server side. So we're going to, so you can set your player's strength. So set your player strength to like 20, right? Now, obviously, it's not going to automatically update because I don't have like a wild shooting loop or something. I have it updates each time you you go like you touch it, right? So as you guys can see, the strength is what's the name? The strength is updated. So now if I go back to it, boom, you guys see how they're both green now, and I can equip it by pressing it. As you guys can see, I have the better tool. Now if I reset my character, I'm going to have the better tool again because I updated last item saved. If I go right here to better, and then I'm going to also display how my strength saved as well as my last item used. So by to test data saving in Studio, I would recommend you do this. Delete your player's instance from the players tab and then click stop. The reason for this is because data saving is a little weird when it comes to Studio, like when comparing Studio and a regular game. You guys know how in Roblox games are like, when the last player leaves the game, the server doesn't actually close itself down for like maybe like 30 seconds to like a minute or 2 minutes and stuff. Yeah, that gives it time for like players' data to be saved and stuff like that. But in Studio, it doesn't work like that. In Studio, as soon as you hit that stop button, it's over. So sometimes you have to give it like a little second so that it's able to save the data. So let's see if my data saved. Boom, just like that. I have the better tool and strength. And now if I press it, you guys can see I'm gaining. Oh, well, shop activated because I obviously went there. But as you guys can see, I'm using my tool and I'm gaining +3 because that's the increased amount for better. So yeah, like I said, if you guys want access to the scripter model and my description models, you guys can become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Links to either of those options can be found in the description and stuff. You can ask about in the comments. Like I said, if you guys want a part 2 of this, let me know in the comments and stuff. Literally, it all depends on how well this video does. If it gets mad likes, mad views, then I got you guys with a part 2. I'll literally make sure it's ready to go by this weekend and stuff. If anything, leave a like and subscribe to the video. It was helpful if you enjoy it, and if you enjoyed it. If you need help with anything, of course, leave a comment. But I would honestly recommend you join my Discord server. Link to my Discord server can be found in the description. You guys can join there to submit video ideas, see sneak peeks, and generally give me feedback on things I'm working on for videos, as well as receive help from me personally, as well as my other helpers, which are other people that I verified are like good scripters. And you can also join my Roblox group, which you should for sure join. We're almost at 150 members, and the Discord server is almost at 700 members, so you should definitely join. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.